Welcome back everyone to the weekly mailbox, your weekly Q&A here on the channel. We've got some spicy questions today, which you all know. I really do enjoy some spicy questions. We're going to move away from Canada. There's been lots of talk about Canada, perhaps too much about the incident, about the penalty. So we're going to steer clear from that as best we can today. 5 questions as always, and if you've got questions for next week, feel free to put them in the comments below. Let's start off then with W. Cooley's question, and he asks, will Danny Ric be able to get a podium this year, and will Bottas be able to close the gap in the championship battle? We'll start off with Bottas, and then we'll talk about the Honey Badger himself. For Valtteri, I think he's going to have to be on his A game in every single race to be able to do that. And to be honest with you, right now, I'm not seeing that super consistency that he's going to need. So I'll quickly answer that one and say no, I don't think he's going to quite be able to do it across an entire season, because I think the only real way that's going to happen is if Hamilton has reliability issues, which, to be honest, is quite rare within the Mercedes team. So we'll talk about the Honey Badger, because obviously it's what I've titled the video, the thumbnail, because I feel, to be honest with you, he's been a little bit quiet this year, has Ricciardo. Made that big switch last year, moving from Red Bull, a race-winning team as early as last season, moving to Renault, a team that haven't even got a podium since they returned to Formula 1. Big risk. And this was a big talking point in the winter, but over the first 7 races, it's been a little bit quiet until this weekend in Canada. 4th on the grid, 6th in the race. Brilliant. Really good job from Daniel Ricciardo. Real good turnaround. And now he's 8th in the championship, sniffing that best of the rest title, only behind Carlos Sainz by 2 points, I believe it is. So super, super close there. And Renault, a little bit of life has been put back into that team this weekend. So for Ricciardo, watching his performance this weekend, and I said it in the race review, the battle with Bottas he had, while it was on the limit, it was pure Danny Ric. He was late on the brakes, real deep scrapping with a Mercedes car. Proves to me he's getting more and more confident in this Renault, more and more harmony between man and machine. And so I think with that will come more and more performances. I don't think that Renault is the most reliable car on the grid. However, I think Ricciardo is probably the best placed driver in that midfield to pick up a fluke podium. Perhaps even more likely than Gasly. Maybe not. I don't know. We'll talk about Gasly a little bit later. But if I was being honest, I think that's perhaps a little bit too big a step to expect a podium from Ricciardo this year. But like I said, if anyone's going to get it in that midfield, I would say the Honey Badge. Next question from Alex Cotman. What do you think the odds of Gasly being replaced are now after getting stuck behind Stroll and being lapped at the Canadian Grand Prix? We've spoken in length about Gasly recently. However, I think what happened at the Canadian Grand Prix, which Alex has pointed out, has changed things a little bit. And we all saw the rumours with Hulkenberg. I don't think many of us believed it. Even I didn't believe it. But I thought it was worth sitting down and, talking about Hulkenberg, talking about Gasly at the time. I'm looking at it now. And whilst I don't think Hulkenberg will replace Gasly mid-season, I wouldn't be surprised if they drop Gasly at the end of the year. I mean, I want to make it clear, I think Gasly will do a full season. I think Red Bull are committed to doing that, and they have said that they didn't realistically want to put him in the Red Bull this year because they didn't think he was good enough yet. I think that's proved right. I think that logic has proved right. I just think next year he's going to have to turn around performances quickly, because you're right, to be beat by Lance Stroll, no disrespect to Lance Stroll, that is not good enough at all, considering how Max Verstappen's race went, 9th through to 5th. It was, yes, 9th through to 5th. So, got to improve, and I can see him being replaced next season. But again, we've spoken about Gasly in length, but I just thought, you know what, this weekend probably cemented that there might be a little switch next season. Nellum asks, thoughts on Honda so far? We've not spoken about Honda too much this year on the channel. And what do you think Red Bull will be fighting for the or do you think Red Bull, will be fighting for the championship in the next few years? I've been really impressed with Honda this season. You know, they're not the number one engine. Probably not even the number two engine. However, they've been good. And they've made a real nice step up. And if you guys have been following the channel for a while, you might know I was a bit sceptical in the winter and thought maybe Red Bull had jumped the gun a little bit and they'd make a bit of a step backwards this year. And if we take Canada out of the equation, I think the Honda engine has been better than the Renault engine this year. And you could even argue in Canada it was, with Verstappen eventually finishing in front of the two Renaults. So, I tell you what, I've been impressed. Reliability's been pretty strong. I don't think either of the Red Bull boys, off the top of my head, have had a DNF through mechanical failures this season. Yes, there's been issues in practice, but during the race, no issues. And race pace has also been very impressive. I think the Renault has also closed up a little bit this year. So overall, I think, to be honest, in the engine war that we've had for many years in Formula 1, I think that's really shrunk down. And obviously that's due to the law of diminishing returns. However, Honda in particular, I really thought would be a thorn in Red Bull's side this year, and it hasn't been, which has been brilliant to see. And the meme, unfortunately for the meme lords, seems to be slowly dying out. Shame. GP2 engine, though, will always last forever. Next question, Muchy Gaming YT. Do you think Bottas or Ocon will get a seat at Mercedes next season? I really wanted to answer this question because when I first saw it, I thought, wow. At the beginning of the season, at the end of last season, when I attempted to defend Valtteri Bottas, I got a lot of hate for it. And you know what? I think I've got to expect that sometimes, that my opinions will not be shared by everyone. You know, that's cool. That's what we're all here for. And if you disagree with me on anything, of course I want you to challenge me, because that's what we're here for. I wonder how many people's opinions have changed over the winter and the start of the season. Because Esteban Ocon, this was a real complaint of mine and of other people in the community, saying, yes, he's done well at Force India for the last couple of years. However, if you're not in a car, out of sight, out of mind. And I feel that's what's happening right now. I feel a lot of casual fans in particular probably would have forgotten who Esteban Ocon is. Factor in as well George Russell at Williams getting a bit of limelight, and I want to say brilliant job he's doing. It's hard to judge how well he's doing at Williams, considering the awful pace of that car, and we don't really know the pace of Kubica. I don't usually say Kubica. It's been one of those days. However, I think Bottas is pretty nailed on, to be honest with you. I think the real question is, if Hamilton moves on, I think then Ocon will come into the team. However, I don't see that happening either. So I think 2020, Hamilton and Bottas will be the lineup. And our final question, as always, I like to leave it open for you guys to comment in the comments below. It's always, I don't want to say a controversial one, but a little bit more fun, a little bit more relaxed. And Kizwiz asks, what is your top 3 liveries of 2019? Last year, I went all in. I did lists of my favourite liveries. I don't know why I didn't do that this year. I think I was just so busy during winter testing, it passed my mind. So, honourable mention, go to the Alfa Romeo. My favourite livery of last season was the Alfa, and I think they've improved it this year, but I think there's better liveries this year. I like the Ferrari, but in some lights it still looks a little bit orange, and I think if it was a metallic red, I'd like it. However, top 3, and put your lists in the comments below. Mercedes, I think, is looking very, very sexy this year. The little Mercedes, I don't know what you call it, triangle-y thing they have all over the back, and the Niki Lauda red one is just beautiful. Love that. Awesome tribute. My number 2, it's got to be Rich Energy Haas F1. They've made nice little improvements on that as well since pre-season. Losing the Stag is a little bit of an iffy one, but my favourite livery this year is the McLaren, which I didn't like last year, but I think it's a big jump up. The rear of the car, where they've added loads more blue and the little triangles on that as well, I think looks really smart. So that is my top three. Mercedes third, Rich Energy Haas second, and McLaren number one. But let me know in the comments below, what do you think? And also, how wrong am I? You know, we always love to do that as well. But if you've got questions for next week, feel free to put them in the comments section below. I'm thinking of maybe doing a live mailbox at some point. Playing with the idea. I don't know. Throwing things around sometimes at the end of videos is always fun. So I'll leave you there. If you've got questions, feel free to put them in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.